What does your lord expect from me?
Bosses bantis amazis, merikivio dolalaris, os machagon contas.
The prince who was promised will bring the dawn.
Hello and welcome to The Big Question about Game of Thrones Season 7 Episode 2. And the big question this week is, who is the prince that was promised? I'm Andy HARTUP and I'm joined by Zoe DELAHUNTY-LIGHT.
Hello.
And we're just going to kick off by talking about, I guess, Zoe, what is the most obvious candidate for the prince who was promised?
So for me, it's definitely Daenerys. I mean, the way she introduces herself is Daenerys, Stormborn, Khaleesi of everywhere, basically. But
she's got a lot of job titles.
She's got a lot of job titles, one that I thought I could recite off by heart, but obviously can't. But the main thing about Daenerys is that she was born in the middle of a storm, and she was born when the battle was raging behind her. So she has the smoke from the burning buildings and the salt from not only the storm, but presumably her mother's tears and that kind of stuff as well. Because we now know that the word for prince in High Valyrian is gender neutral, it could obviously be her, and considering her alignment with fire, with dragons, and being of House Targaryen, then I think her lining up with R'hllor, is that how you pronounce it?
The Lord of Light.
Lord of Light. His prophecy seems pretty apt.
So, yeah, you touched upon quite a few things there, and it's just worth taking this back to the books, because this is dealt with a lot more heavily in the books. It's sort of a reasonably new concept for the show. Now, in the books, it's quoted that the prince who was promised, or the warrior of light, as they're also known, was born amidst smoke and salt.
Yep.
That's a direct quote.
Nice.
And as Melisandre points out in this episode, the High Valyrian word for prince could be either prince or princess. It's just gender neutral.
Missandei said it.
Yeah, she did say it. Okay. Yeah. Now, interestingly, in the show, Daenerys was also reborn. After she gave birth to the dragons, and that was very much in fire.
Yeah.
So that would very much support your argument as well.
I guess it would be the salt from Mirri Maz's tears, because if it's salt and smoke, the warrior who was born in, it would have to be the salt from tears. People usually interpret it as being, rather than just sea or something like that.
Yeah, maybe so.
Or something like that.
She's a great candidate, and I personally think the show's setting up a little bit of a feint here, because Melisandre was saying, no, well, it could be you, but you could be very heavily involved in it, because I personally think it's going to be Jon Snow. Yeah,
definitely with his resurrection,
yes.
It seems likely. I mean, in the books, doesn't it mention his wounds smoking?
Yes,
literally?
They do, yeah, they literally smoke. And he was reborn amidst salt and smoke, I guess. People probably crying a bit, or did they wash him in? I don't know.
Yeah, they might have done one single solitary tear running down a cheek in a very kind of like manly way.
Maybe so.
Perhaps.
Maybe Ghost was crying.
Oh no,
dog
Ghost.
tears.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So I think Jon Snow is for me the most likely candidate. I mean, he fits the description nicely. He's been fighting the White Walkers for a long time. He knows loads about them. I just think that. And I think Melisandre's chosen him as well. I think she knows, because the minute Stannis died, it's a bit fickle. The minute Stannis died, she goes, no, wait, it was Jon. It was Jon all along. I've been seeing snow in my dreams. I knew that all along. I was just kidding. So I'm inclined to believe that it's him.
Well, interestingly, I think in Azor Ahai's past, he has a wife called Nissa, and the other thing he needs to be the prince that was promised, whether it's a prince or a princess, is a flaming sword. So I think some people think that maybe if Jon and Daenerys get married, Daenerys in some way sacrifices herself to give Jon Snow his flaming sword, because in the prophecy, or in the past even the myth, Azor Ahai pulls his flaming sword from Nissa's chest.
Oh, really?
So there might be a link between two of them. That might be how Daenerys plays into it, is that she has to somehow sacrifice herself for Jon to bring this sword that's going to kill the White Walkers or something like that.
Now, I'm going to throw this in as well. From the trailers, we've seen Sir Beric Dondarrion with a flaming sword north of the wall with Jon Snow.
But in the books, and one of the mercenaries or someone, I can't remember his name, he says he has a flaming sword, and he says all he does is light it on fire with oil. So it might not be a genuine holy flaming sword. But Beric Dondarrion has died like 9 times or something. Yeah. So I guess having a flaming sword wouldn't be too much of a jump.
No, in episode 1, he has a scene with the Hound where they talk about he talks about what's my purpose, because the Hound's telling him off for being boring, and he says, well, why bring you back? Why does the Lord of Light keep bringing you back? I think his purpose is to get the flaming sword to Jon. I think that's his purpose, and that's why he's been kept alive.
Yeah.
Because he's in with the religion, he's in with the Lord of Light.
Sense.
He's bringing the sword north. That's like the Hound's purpose.
So we think Thoros of Myr and Melisandre are going to have a bit of a head-to-head, maybe.
Maybe. It's a bit tangential, but I wonder how Jon Snow and Sir Davos going back down to Dragonstone and meeting Melisandre again after they exiled her. I don't think it's going to go very well.
No,
but that is
do
beside the
not.
point, because we're getting off topic a little bit. Now, I'm going to throw one last theory at you and see what you think
I'm
of
ready.
it. Right. So Davos could be the prince who was promised.
Explain.
So, hear me out.
Please.
Hear me out. He was reborn amidst salt and smoke because he drowned at the Battle of Blackwater, was pulled out of the sea, the salty sea, amidst all the wreckage, which was smoking, and was revived. Now, in the second season, I think it was, Stannis was he pulls the sword out of one of the burning pyres to prove that he was the prince who was promised, and obviously he wasn't, because it was just a bit of a showmanship.
Yep.
But Sir Davos also touches the sword and waves it about a little bit,
Okay.
so it could be him. And also, Melisandre was so certain that it was Stannis. I genuinely think that she did believe it was Stannis. Sir Davos was always his hand.
That's very
Always.
true.
So she was around them all the time. And I wonder, like, it sounds stupid. Maybe it works like some sort of weird Game of Thrones radar, where she's going, I know the prince who was promised is in this room. God, it's got to be Stannis.
Well, it
when
might.
it was Sir Davos hanging around in the background.
So what would that mean? I mean, he's not exactly... He's the Onion Knight. He's not someone who comes forward and is, like, heroic and takes everything on his shoulders. He's very kind of, like... He's very principled and he's bound to honour, sometimes, of course. But what would that mean for the whole of Westeros if he was the prince that was promised? He'd have to have a major change of character
I think he
to
would.
then take it on his shoulders.
I wonder if he sort of sees his destiny, because he's always very dismissive of religion. He's had all sorts of speeches about it's all the king's same to me. I wonder if it's just quite a nice little switch if you build up someone like Jon and you build up someone like Daenerys and you're going, these are the main characters, and then you go, oh no, it's just this humble guy. I don't know. I think viewers might be quite annoyed if it does turn out to be Sir Davos, because there's not quite the satisfaction of saying, yes, it was Jon all along and he's a bastard and he found out he's a Targaryen and a Stark and everything. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be a neat twist. I don't buy it for a second. I do genuinely think it's Jon, but I think it's a great theory.
Yeah, the prophecy might all be rubbish as well. It might
Yeah.
just all be complete nonsense and not meant to happen and everything. But, I mean, I'd be interested to see what happened to either of the characters, because learning that you're literally a prophesized prince or princess that's due to save the world from a zombie invasion, well, White Walker invasion technically, but, that would either give you a serious hero complex or just make you want to retreat into the shadows and never see anyone again because you're scared you might fail them.
Well, I think Jon's sort of accepted the weight of responsibility now, so I think he's ready for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could take it so far. You could say like Ygritte had like ginger, like orange hair, and that's like fiery coloured hair and stuff like that.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just that's taking it way too far, and we don't have time to discuss all that. Okay, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think it's Daenerys, Jon, or do you think it's Sir Davos? So are you sticking with Daenerys? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with her.
Okay, I'm sticking with
definitely.
Jon. Let us know in the comments. And if you want more Game of Thrones coverage, just hit subscribe below and keep it tuned to Games Radar.